Salvete discipuli. Today we're going to talk about substantive adjectives or adjectives that are used without their nouns. Previously, when we've talked about adjectives, we've talked about how adjectives that are used with nouns need to agree with those nouns in case, gender, and number. And we've also talked about how we have different types of adjectives. Those belonging to first and second declension have nominative singulars that are masculine, feminine, and neuter, ending in us, a, and they use first and second declension adjective endings. So for example, if we're going to talk about a good man, both of these forms need to have the same case, gender, and number as our noun, which is nominative, masculine, and singular, so we'll use the US ending. However, if we're talking about a good woman, which is feminine and also nominative and singular, we would use the A ending to indicate the feminine gender. And if we were talking about a good thing, such as a wagon, a Plaustrum, we would need to change our adjective to match the gender. Here, both of these forms are nominative, singular, and now neuter. We've also talked about how adjectives sometimes belong to the third declension of adjectives, having those three nominative singular endings, masculine, feminine, and neuter, this time ending is, e. And if we were to talk about a brave man, like before, both of those forms would need to match. Here, vir fortis, a brave man, is nominative, masculine, and singular. However, a brave woman would need to be feminine, nominative, and singular. And here the two forms happen to be the same, and that's just because very frequently with third declension adjectives, the masculine and the feminine forms are identical. However, once we're talking about that neuter brave thing, such as a brave wagon, we need to make sure that our adjective changes to the neuter gender to match the neuter noun. And of course, we're not just restricted to the nominative singular when we're talking about noun-adjective agreement. Nouns and adjectives that agree can appear in any case, gender, and number. For example, on the board, you see the accusative singular and the ablative singular, also the nominative plural, and the genitive plural, just to give you a few examples. Although adjectives most frequently appear with a noun that agree in case, gender, and number, adjectives can also appear by themselves. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of our nouns, and we're left with just the adjectival forms. And because adjectives in Latin have a gender, we can infer a noun that the adjective is matching with. So bonus with a US masculine ending doesn't just mean good, it means a good man. Bona with a feminine ending doesn't just mean good, but it means a good woman. And bonum, since it's neuter, doesn't just mean good, but it means a good thing. The same idea works for third declension adjectives. Is as a masculine ending doesn't just mean brave, but it means a brave man. Is, which also can be a feminine ending, won't just mean brave, but it will mean a brave woman. And the E ending for te doesn't just mean brave, but it can mean a brave thing. And we're going to infer whether we're referring to a man, woman, or thing based on the gender of the adjective when it appears by itself. And of course, we can see these adjectives in the plural as well. Any case, gender, and number is an option. Here, since now we're shifting over to the masculine plural, boni won't refer to just good, but it will refer to the good men, this time making our noun plural to reflect the plural nature of the adjective. AE as a feminine plural ending won't just mean good, but it will mean the good women. And bon a as a neuter plural won't just mean good, but it will mean the good things. Likewise, for the third declensions, es as a masculine ending won't just mean the brave, but it will mean the brave men. Es can also be a feminine ending, so it won't just mean brave, but it will mean the brave women. And the A ending for the neuter plurals won't just mean brave, but it will mean the brave things. When we have adjectives that appear by themselves without a noun that they agree in case, gender, and number with, this is called the substantive adjective, and it's an adjective that is being used and treated as a noun. And once again, when you encounter these adjectives that don't have a noun with them, you need to just infer a noun based on the gender and number of the adjective in question. We use substantive adjectives in English as well, such as our example, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Presumably, we are talking about the good men, the bad men, and the ugly men. However, because English doesn't have gender on their adjectives, for all we know, we really could be talking about the good tomato, the bad tomato, and the ugly tomato. It's one of the benefits of having gender with our Latin adjectives because it makes it crystal clear whether we're referring to masculine people, men, feminine people, women, or neuter things, which we would translate as thing or things. To illustrate this, there are a few examples Latine, fortis juvat bonam, where both fortis and bonam do not have a noun along with them that they agree with in case, gender, and number, and instead these are our substantive adjectives, fortis a word meaning brave, bonam the word meaning good, and juvat meaning help. Now this am ending on bonam makes it very crystal clear that bonam is functioning as our direct object, which makes fortis our subject. Because this is a third declension adjective, we're not actually entirely sure whether or not this is masculine or feminine. So instead of fortis meaning brave, it could be referring to either a brave man or a brave woman in the singular. And we know that this brave man or woman helps a bonam, which is very obviously feminine, so they're going to help the good woman. And we're inferring the noun, man, woman, or thing, based on the gender of the adjective. Another example here, mercator vendit bona, where only bona is a substantive adjective, there's no noun along with it. Mercator meaning merchant, vendit a verb meaning sells, and bona our adjective meaning good. Now, because mercator is very clearly our subject of vendit, bona is most likely a neuter plural accusative functioning as our direct object. And as a neuter plural, we're going to infer our noun things. So the merchant sells good things. Now, this word bona, especially as a direct object, is frequently used with a slightly alternative meaning. If a merchant sells good things, he is truly selling goods, i.e. your possessions. So the merchant sells good things, the merchant sells goods, the merchant sells possessions. Another example, this time with our third declension adjective, omnes, omnes, omnes. And here omnes is our substantive adjective. There is no noun that it agrees in case, gender, and number with. Omnes means all. Veniunt ad urbem means come to the city. And as a third declension adjective, this es is most likely to be a nominative plural, and it could be either masculine or feminine, but in either case, we know that it's referring to people as opposed to things, since it's not neuter in gender. And so instead of saying all come to the city, we're really talking about all people come to the city. And another way that we say this in English is by using the word everyone. So omnes veniunt ad urbem would best translate to everyone comes to the city. Using the same third declension adjective, this time with a neuter meaning, Marcus narrabat omnia. Omnia is once again a substantive adjective, and Marcus narrabat means Marcus was telling. Omnia being that third declension word that means all. Since Marcus is clearly our subject of our verb, we know that Marcus was telling all, and this a ending as a neuter plural ending clearly indicates that omnia is functioning as our direct object. And since it's neuter and plural, we're going to infer the word things to go along with our substantive adjective. Marcus was telling all things. And in English, another way of translating this would be to say that Marcus was telling everything. Once again, Discipuli, in Latin, adjectives can be used with nouns if they agree in case, gender, and number, but they can also be used without nouns, and when we translate, we need to infer man or men, woman or women, or thing or things based on the gender, and supply our own noun if it doesn't appear in the sentence. And that is truly what a substantive adjective is. Valete, Discipuli.